Hi there, Ms. Lambs here. Today we are going to do some data analysis on an exercise called 2D, 4D ratios. So in here, what we're going to ask students to do is we measure the length of the second digit and the fourth digit, the length of them. And then we look at the ratio between 2D and 4D, the second digit and the fourth digit, okay? And to see if there's a differences between male and females. So the theory behind it is that we believe that the 2D 4D ratio has something to do with the testosterone level at prenatal stage. Okay. And so before we show the data, okay, so the theory was we believe that the females will have a slightly higher 2D 4D ratio. That means that they will have a slightly longer second digit compared to the fourth digit. And meanwhile, for the male, okay, they believe that they will have a slightly lower 2D 4D ratio. That means that the ring finger should be longer than the index finger. So take a look at your own hand and see if this is true first, okay? Quite interesting thing to think about. Alright, then what we need to do is, so basically we have collect some data from students using Google spreadsheet. So what we're going to do is copy them, alright, and then paste it here, okay. Now, if you copy any data from Google spreadsheet, you will notice that the data is not very unified. That means the decimal place is not all the same. Now, the decimal place is very important regarding to the uncertainty of your data. Okay, so because students are using the ruler, and for ruler, the uncertainty is plus or minus 1 mm. So here, this one is measured in cm, so it's important to show the decimal place here. So 1 decimal place. There you go. 1 decimal place by pressing this button. Okay, very easy. Then meanwhile, for the ratios, okay, again, you need to standardize it, okay, so make sure they're the same decimal place. As the 2 digit and the fourth digit is very similar, it's always good to have a slightly more decimal place. 2 decimal place will do, okay, 2 decimal place. Okay, so after I've tidied all the decimal place up, then moving on is the average, okay, and average, you type equal sign, and then type average, okay, and then D4 all the way to D33. Cool. Okay, so that's how you calculate it, and same for this one. Average. Okay, you don't have to capitalize all of them. Small letter will also do. G3, G4 to G42. Okay, so that was not difficult at all. Okay, next one is SD. Okay, standard deviation. Standard deviation shows how widespread the data is around the mean. Okay, so here, okay, equal STDDV, okay, and then you quote the data D33, okay, so there you go, and then here again, so D STDDV, okay, so you can highlight this, okay, you can also do that, okay, highlight the data, okay, so there you go. Okay, so sometimes when you do the highlighting, it's a bit easy to scroll down, a little bit difficult to scroll down, things like that, so it's always easier for me, at least, to quote the data, quote the box is easier for me. So there you go. Okay, so there you go. Now you can see that for SD, there's too many decimal places for the reader to visualize what's happening. So what I'm going to do is narrow down the number of decimal places. Okay, now here, so 3 decimal places will be suitable. Okay, then the next part is to use the SD to plot error bar on the chart. So when I do a chart, I usually write down the data on the side, so it's easier for me to control the elements of it. So here, there's male, there's female, okay, and then the average and SD. Okay, so average is, instead of typing it, it's best to quote the box as it is, because if there's any changes to your raw data, then it will automatically change it for you in the graph. So here equals, okay, so this one is actually D43. Okay, so it's highlighted for you, just double check them. And the next one equals D44. Okay, cool. And this part again, do the same. G43. Oops, equal. You need to add this equal sign here. Okay, and then equal G44. Okay, cool. Now then the next part is to do the graph. Okay, so highlight the average first. Okay, don't do the SD yet. Okay, so insert, recommend chart, bar chart will do. Okay, there you go. Now this graph is far from done, okay, but let's go focus on how to make the SD error bar first. So again, the office version that I'm using is 2016, so it might be slightly different layout to your Excel file. But don't panic, okay? You can just find out, Google it or YouTube it, okay? See how it goes, okay? So add elements, okay? So here chart elements, okay? And now go to error bar, okay? Now by default, okay, it will just do a 25% error bar. So what you need to do is you need to adjust it, okay? So here you need to go error bar, more options, okay? And then scroll to the bottom, and then this is custom, and then specify values. Now by default, okay, the computer will use a plus or minus 1, so we're just going to delete all of them first, and then you highlight it, okay, highlight it, okay, and then do the same again, highlight it again, okay. So here, let me just highlight it better again, highlight it, okay, cool, right, so there you go. Now, okay, let me close this one first, right, okay. So actually by default, Excel also helps reader to visualize the differences between male and female. And we can see that male is slightly longer than the females, and actually the male has slightly longer SDR bond compared to the females. But there's a few things that we need to adjust. One is the title. So let's specify it, 2D, 4D ratio in male and female. Now when you write your title, make sure you have write down the IV and the DV, the independent variable and the dependent variables. Okay, so here in this experiment, the independent variable is the male and female, and the dependent variable is 2D for the ratios, right? Okay, cool. Now next part is add the labels. Okay, axis label. Okay, so axis title. Okay, so there you go. And this one's gender. Right. Okay. Now, also another thing is because there's a problem in this graph. Although this scale was used to help reader to visualize the differences, it needs to be start from 0. It doesn't start from the origin. So what you do is you right-click this one and then format axis. Okay. So there's a bound. So the bound should be 0, 0. Okay, 0, 0. And then and then also sometimes you need to double check. Okay, sometimes the decimal place is not unified. What you can do is you go to numbers, okay, and then category. Sometimes it's general, so you need to change it back to numbers, and then you can adjust the decimal place here. Okay, right. So this should be fine. Okay, cool. Okay, so that's fine now. Okay, so we've got the axis label. Okay, we have adjusted the axis numbers. Okay, we have added titles here. So that's it for today. Hope it helps you to know how to do the average, SD, and SD error bar. Thank you and bye-bye.